Welcome to Tech Talk with Craig Peterson, show number 644. We're going to be joined today by about 16 guests. We have the CEOs of various companies that are out there. We're going to be talking about everything today, from some mobile software from Smith Micro. That's going to be our first guest today. We're going to be talking about Postcard on the Run. You got to listen to this with Josh Brooks, and I've got a secret for you. If you have a mobile phone, whether it's an iPhone or of course, an Android phone, Postcard on the Run is a very, very cool app. Now, here's the secret. Don't share this with too many friends because I don't want this to go away. But what Postcard on the Run lets you do is take a picture that's on your phone, or just take a picture right then and there, and then have a beautiful, well-made postcard delivered to whoever it is you want to address it to. You can even write a note and sign it and everything. These things are fantastic. I've used it myself. And it's about $1.50, which is really cheap. It includes postage and everything. Well, here's the secret. Eureka. E-U-R-K-A. Eureka. E-U-R-E-K-A. There you go. Is the special discount code that's available for Tech Talk with Craig Peterson listeners. So if you download Postcard on the Run, and you take a picture, or you use a picture that's already on your phone, and you send it to someone, at the checkout screen, when it's telling you how much it is, just type in Eureka and it'll go to free. It'll be a free Postcard on the Run. And you can also send these things internationally. You're going to love this app. I've used it myself. So he's going to be joining us, talking a little bit more about that. We have Chuck Cox is going to be on, talking a little bit about cell control here. The Think Eco is going to be with us today. Zag, Randy Hales, is going to be with us. Zag is a product I've used over the years for my cell phones, tablets, laptops, any type of device. I've always recommended that you get this. It's a great protector product. Fitness USA is going to be with us. 3M is going to be talking about their newest mobile projectors. Don Mayer is going to be with us, some small dog electronics. Now, this is a brand new segment here on Tech Talk with Craig Peterson that we have at 5:30 every week, where we take your questions and we give them to an Apple expert. And today we're scheduled to talk with Don Mayer, who is the big dog. He's the head guy over there at Small Dog Electronics. And we're going to be talking with him a little bit about this week's news on Apple, which is really, it was spawned about a week or so ago by the New York Times. Is Apple mistreating employees over in China that make all the devices? So that's what we'll talk to him a little bit about. And in case you didn't know, Small Dog Electronics is Manchester's #1 source for Apple products and repair. These guys do it all. They can help you. They're right there in the Mall of New Hampshire. You might have seen them. So go in, pay them a visit. And we'll probably try and do a remote from there someday. So keep an ear out on the show, and we'll see if we can't get you there on the days when I'm there as well. Anyways, you can go to ask your questions to WGIRAM.com or 967thewave.com. Use a keyword small dog, and you'll find out a little bit more about this question. There's a form there that you can fill out, ask your question, and then we'll ask them on the air as well with an Apple expert. We'll get the right person. So that should be fun today. Let's see, who else do we have scheduled to be on today? TripIt's going to be on. This is really cool, Amy. If you have a trip that you're taking, you can just forward all of your booking emails, whatever, to tripit.com, and it'll keep track of your itinerary. It'll warn you about changes in flight status, etc. Very, very nice. Hypershop's going to be with us. I love their products. I've been using them for years now, 3 years maybe, and they've been just wonderful little products. So they have a few. We'll be talking with her about their latest stuff. I love Hypershop's batteries that you can use for nowadays, not your Macs anymore. You used to be able to use them for your laptops, but I think they had a falling out with Apple. They haven't said, but you can use them with your iPhones, iPads, etc. And they even have some very cool storage devices now. Line 2 is going to be with us, Peterson. Now, this is very cool. If you have an iPad, an iPhone, and various Android devices, and you want to have a second phone number, that's what Line 2 is all about. And you can get that on your phone and use really kind of like a switchboard. for your small business as you're starting up, or even for bigger business if you're on the road and stuff. Very, very cool. You're listening to Tech Talk with Craig Peterson. Going through some guests here that are coming up on the show. They're going to get to a couple of articles in the news this week. Sonoma's going to be with us talking about their health monitor. Stephen Tiffin's going to be with us. This is tiffin.com. This is a company that's been around for quite a few years now, and they sell all kinds of stuff that's electronics and computer related. So we'll be talking with him. A family-owned business, by the way. I love those. Pay Wizard's going to be with us talking about new ways of paying for things, micropayments, etc. Nero. Now, you might have heard of Nero before. You might have used their software to burn CDs, DVDs, etc. Well, we have their president's going to be on with us today. And S3 Group's going to be with us talking a little bit about TV technology. It's going to be a pretty busy day today. Quite a show. Well, let's get to some articles in the news as promised here. A couple here on weapons technologies that are coming out of the military, and I get concerned. I think most of us do, because it's fine and it's wonderful to be able to have technology that helps to save our troops. I have kids in the military, and that's something that's very important. You don't want our military to be in harm's way if possible. So what this now is talking about is, okay, what they're doing is they come up with some new self-steering bullets, and they have some less lethal bullets. Well, that's also good for the military in general, but I get concerned about government getting out of control. What happens then when these weapons are turned on the citizens? And it's happened before. It's happened in this country before, and it's certainly happened worldwide. So this first one here is this very cool bullet. Now, they call it a bullet. It's actually kind of big. It's almost like a little missile. It's 4 inches long, and this particular bullet has built into it kind of fins on the back. The nose is a little heavier than the rest of the bullet. It's accurate to a good mile here, 1.25 miles, and the accuracy on these things from the prototype is better at even longer ranges. So what happens here is that someone lights up with a laser the target. Now that's pretty normal, right? We've been using that technology for years with smart bombs and things. And the bullet itself has an optical sensor right in its nose. It detects the laser, and then it uses little motors that are inside the bullet that turns these little fins, and it actually steers the bullet. And I saw a picture of a path one of these bullets took, and it was kind of all over the place. The bullet can make corrections 30 times a second, so they can overcorrect. They don't have to be terribly precise, and it really hit the target quite well. The Royal United States Institute think tank told the BBC via Elizabeth Quintana, who is one of the researchers, one of the big successes in Libya was that the accuracy of the munitions used was much higher than in previous campaigns. 97% of NATO's weapons hit their target to within about 6 feet. But that was achieved through air munitions. This could be a revolution for the ground forces, may help further cut down on civilian casualties. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Can we use the laser directly on the gun, or do we have to have someone else light up the target? Now, this next one here is this less lethal bullet. Boy, hard time saying that. And there's a pretty cool picture of this over at wired.com. For those that are looking at the video stream here, you might be able to see that picture I held up. It's a very, very cool. This is the smartest ammunition yet that the military's used. And these bullets are really quite smart. Now, the gun itself is fairly bulky, at least for now. But what they're trying to do is replace some of the other less lethal options, like the beanbags and rubber bullets that really don't do the job much of the time. Well, this is from Wired.com. As I said, quote, munitions already out there depend on kinetic energy. They're deployed, they hit, they hurt, and they can do too much harm, he says. We wanted to come up with a smarter way to pack a punch. So what these less lethal munitions do is this projectile goes out, it detects when it hits skin. Now, isn't that interesting? When it hits the skin, it releases its payload, which is a liquefied compressed gas, And it's an extreme shock wave here. There's three different senses that it's going after here. The first one is that this compressed gas makes an incredible noise here as it exits a bullet. It's designed to flash very brightly so it obscures a target's vision, and the bullet itself is designed to hurt as well. So we'll see where this goes. And guess what? Not only military looking at this, but law enforcement agencies are already taking an interest in what's being called the shock round. So look for that in the future. You're listening to Tech Talk with Craig Peterson, going through some articles in the news this week. This one's from InfoWorld, and by Galen Grumman, talking about the dark side of Apple's dominance. And in reality, Apple is it's a juggernaut right now. And it's interesting to see, for instance, with the iPhones, who's making the money. AT&T has iPhones, Verizon, Sprint have iPhones, and we have an article here, where did that one go, on Sprint, where Sprint has decided, okay, it was great, let's do the iPhone, wow, yay. And they lost billions of dollars this quarter. Now I can't find that article. There it is, $1.3 billion loss. This is an article here from USA Today. Sprint, once known for the worst customer service in the industry, has made progress on turning its fortunes around in the last few years, but the number 3 U.S. wireless carriers found it difficult to compete with larger rivals AT&T and Verizon, both of which sell the iPhone. So Sprint jumped for the chance to sell the iPhone starting in October, giving Apple a $15.5 billion commitment to buy phones over 4 years. In the October to December period, Sprint activated 1.8 million iPhones in the quarter, compared to 7.6 million at AT&T and 4.3 at Verizon Wireless. Well, what's interesting here from InfoWorld, because of this dominance that Apple has, and with its iPhone, over everything else, over the BlackBerry, over the Androids, and frankly, it's a really good phone. It's a phenomenal phone. What's happened here is Apple has eaten into the marketplace for the phones. Meanwhile, Apple alone, even though iPhones account for just 9% of mobile phones sold, reaps about 75% of the mobile phone industry's profits, and that number continues to grow. Should this economic trend continue, Apple will be the Microsoft of mobile platforms, the SAP of mobile apps, and the Oracle of mobile services. If you're an Apple fanboy, that's great news and would suggest a world very much like that of the Macintosh or iPod and iTunes, integrated, fun, innovative, and functional. And then it goes into the bad news. You might want to read this article yourself. It's kind of interesting here. So good news short term, but potentially bad news on the longer term. I've talked before on the show about some of these printers that can print objects, and there's some very cool ones, including some open source ones. Well, this particular one here is from the UK, and it's talking about this 3D printer that created a jaw implant. And now this is very, very cool. Again, showing this on the camera. Now, again, you can go to YouTube in order to watch the video of the show as well, and just search for Craig Peterson or Tech Talk with Craig Peterson. Doctors in the Netherlands have done something so future that it's hard to believe they haven't time traveled to dazzle us with their alien science. They have successfully created and implanted the world's first jaw transplant made by a 3D printer. The implant is made out of titanium powder and took only a few hours to print. I think they said it was about 3 hours. Once we received the 3D digital design, the part was split up automatically into 2D layers, and then we sent those cross-sections to the printing machine. Ruben Walth, LayerWise's medical applications engineer, told the BBC. This was repeated with each cross-section melted to the previous layer. It took 33 layers to build 1 millimeter of height, so you can imagine there were many thousands of layers to build this jawbone. The recipient of the sci-fi jawbone was an 83-year-old woman who had suffered from a chronic bone infection. To put this stunning surgery into perspective, her doctors believe that reconstructive surgery to her jaw about some of the mobile software out there, Postcard on the Run, as I mentioned earlier, with our special secret password that we can use to get free postcards.